good evening, everyone. Welcome back. We are back once again with Space Fam, everybody's favorite Saturday night show because nobody else is at home on Saturday night this late talking about space stuff. So that's why everybody's here, and it's always so fantastic to have you all in here tonight. We have a great lineup, but the first thing I do want to mention is that our friends from the Cosmic Perspective will not be here tonight. Mary Liz is on the middle of a road trip. We are hoping to have them on either next weekend or the following weekend to talk about everything that's been going on with them. They are now in Boca Chica full time. If you are not on Twitter, yesterday Elon Musk retweeted the video that they just created along with, I think it's South Padre and Everyday Astronaut. It is amazing. It is everything in slow motion, in 4K. It's absolutely gorgeous. We were going to share that tonight. I'm sure we'll end up showing it next week. We might even watch it tonight. It's just that awesome because I can't imagine anybody here doesn't love Mars. So we're really excited about that. It has been a big week for space news all the way around. We're going to get to those topics throughout the night tonight. But first, I want to introduce you to my incredible friends that are on here. They're joining the conversation. First up, Tyler's last name is not Explore Scientific. It's actually Tyler Bowman. He works for Explore Scientific. So Tyler, tell us a little bit about yourself and the amazing things that you do over there and what you all are up to.
Well, first off, Ron, I appreciate you having me on the show tonight. Well, my name's Tyler. I work with Explore Scientific. I'm a CSR rep. I am over all the CSRs that we have currently in our location. And I also manage QC along with shipping. Well, we're doing a lot of things. We're trying to keep everybody happy during the current times that we're facing with COVID. And we're trying to make sure that everybody is able to look up when they can, when we get product in, so we can fulfill the orders and take care of all the customers that we need to take care of, so they can get out and enjoy the space and see what everybody else is looking at there in the night sky. That's what we're doing right now, Ron.
Well, and we're getting a feedback again, Tyler. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and mute you. So with what you all are up to, we're hearing this from every single telescope company that's out here. I know that it's happening with OPT too. I am fortunate enough. I have an amazing another telescope on the way from OPT that's going to be added on to the one behind me here. That's a TPO 8-inch. Can't wait to get that, but it's been back ordered now. I think we're going on 3 months. Like we're in March, and then that was like right at the end of December. So that's happening with everyone. So that's the one great thing about the pandemic is a lot of people went to astronomy, but there's also the things that production lines and stuff have slowed down. So Tyler, we appreciate all the hard work that you all are doing. I know that customer service right now is not the easiest in the world. So I know you guys are doing the best you can. And also want to talk a little bit later about the live streams you all have been doing with Explore Scientific, and we'll definitely dive into that in a bit. But next up, I want to go to Ken Ruffin. He does some amazing stuff. We've actually known each other for years now, never seen each other face to face. So this is really exciting for me. I've got to see him like on the news in Dallas and stuff before, whenever he shares the cool news clips of the stuff that he's up to. But finally, nice to say hi to you face to face. Ken, tell us a little bit about who you are. You're obviously a fan of space and how you got into being a part of National Space Society. And we'll definitely talk more later about your award-winning, division. Like you guys do a lot down there for sure.
Wow. What a great intro. I almost feel like I don't need to say anything after that. But hello, I am Ken Ruffin. I am the president of, as Ron said, the local award-winning National Space Society of North Texas. We're the local chapter of the National Space Society, which has chapters across the U.S. and around the world. What we do, we're a 501c3 nonprofit, so we're all volunteers, and we advocate for space, for NASA, for the commercial spaceflight companies. We not only inform the public about the latest and greatest information in space travel and space development, whether it's way back, until early 2020, until about a year ago, we were doing that face to face. These days now, of course, it's more virtual, but we're, of course, hoping to be able to get back to face to face events, as we call them, pretty soon. So we have those opportunities, those events to talk to the public about space. And when talking to the public, that could be at museums, at schools, and that's elementary through university, That's libraries and planetariums and science centers. That's community centers. I mean, you name it. Anywhere where an audience is available that's even potentially interested in space, we get invited in. We do PowerPoint presentations, and we show people all the cool things that they are likely to have been missing, folks from the general public. We also, not just locally, but on the national level, we communicate with folks in Congress at specific times to when there's a bill that either we are advocating for, or a bill that maybe, is already going through the House or going through the Senate. We will set up meetings with those representatives, with those senators, and make the case for those bills, and perhaps answer any questions that the congressperson or their staff member may have. So it's a great organization locally, and there are, again, chapters all over the place, locally and nationally. It's great to be a part of this organization.
Fantastic. Oh, and you said you weren't going to have much to say after that, and then you just killed it with like a bunch of information even I didn't know. And I got a bunch of friends that work and volunteer for the National Space Society. So thank you so much for sharing that. And we've got a couple of great representatives of organizations on tonight. James Burke is going to be the next one to join us and tell us a little bit about all the awesome stuff that's going on. The Mars Society is who he works for. He is kind of the tech guy, kicking butt, taking names over there. They've been working on Mars VR for some time now. Last time that I knew of it, Mars VR was going to be about the Mars Desert Research Station. Is it still that? Is there more pieces to it? Tell us about what's going on. And you all now currently have an Indiegogo campaign that has done crazy well. Like, you were going to raise $100,000, and it's like first week, and you guys are like 80% of the way there. So I can't remember exactly what it was. So let's talk a little bit about that. Let us know, James, what's happening.
Yeah, thanks, Ron, and thanks for having me on. I'm with the Mars Society. We're also a 501c3 nonprofit space advocacy organization focused on sending humans to Mars and settling Mars. I've been involved with the Mars Society since it was founded back in 1998. As Ron said, I'm the IT guy. I'm the Director of Information Technology. And I'm really excited to talk about Mars VR. It's a project that we've been working on for about 4 years now. And we originally raised money through a Kickstarter in 2018. We were able to scan our base down in Utah, the Mars Desert Research Station, which is one of the worldwide Mars analog facilities. The first one, actually, one of the first. We had one in the Arctic as well before that. But we've been running the Mars Desert Research Station since the year 2001. And I'll be going back there in December to command a crew. But we're really excited about Mars VR. We're running a second crowdfunding campaign, this time on Indiegogo. And we're already 2 weeks into it, and we've raised $81,000. And our goal, our kind of stretch goal, is 100,000, which we're looking like we're going to hit. And we're kind of scrambling right now to figure out what we can do after that. We want to get this into schools and museums and get it out to the general public this year. It is going to be focused on the MDRS initially, but we're taking a modular approach. We're going to have a lot more content as well for schools, museums. We're even going to have a rover driving module for it and have all the latest virtual reality hardware that works along with it. So yeah, we're very excited. It's going great so far, and it's going to be an exciting year.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I'm excited to have it, in museums, because it's something I'm sure we'll want to end up having at the Discovery Center. So I'm totally down for that. We actually already have a Mars yard that we utilize where people can come in. Now they can even do remote. So we were using the Lego rovers, and I think we're going to switch up to something new here soon. So I'll have details on that on a future show. But we've been able to do them remotely because of everything that's been going on recently. Obviously, folks can't come in. We just started really having school groups and stuff coming back, still COVID compliant and all, but it was just a totally different animal. How do we take what is an interactive museum and put that online? And that is one of the things that translated well for that, allowing people to be able to do it remotely, but it also gives you the chance to kind of mess around a little bit and be like, hey, listen, there's going to be this delay whenever you're on Mars, we have to send the information there and back, and it's going to take over 20 minutes for it to happen, for the information to get there back. And so that's something that's been fun, and kids get to kind of see that it's not an instant thing. Light even has a finite speed, so that's been a really fun thing for us to mess around with. Would love to have VR there. Tyler, we see that you're back. Let's check and see if we'll unmute you and everybody can brace themselves.
It can't be that. I mean, you're the first person that's ever told me that had that much amount of feedback.
So weird.
I don't get it. I don't know. Maybe your stuff's more sensitive compared to mine. I don't know.
I'm not sure. It's StreamYard, man. StreamYard's calling you out. Like, get it together, Tyler.
Sorry. Work on it. On it.
Obviously, we've got a great group of guests tonight. So what I want to talk about is a little bit about what's going on with each and every one of you too, just to kind of connect people and see how they can be involved. So Tyler, you were talking about you're working with reaching out to the different the folks that are dealing with all these backups and stuff that are happening because astronomy has taken off. James, Ken, I'm not entirely sure where you are in the astronomy side of things. I know that obviously, doing what you do for each of those organizations is very time consuming. Astronomy obviously had a big year last year. It was awesome to see so many people were out because what is a social distancing activity other than that? Like even in a field full of people at a huge star party, you can be nowhere near anybody else if you wanted to. You can camp on a field that's got 50 acres and be apart from each other. So there were some smaller ones, not like the usual ones that have hundreds or even thousands of people, but still 40, 50 friends could get together and go, hey, guy, what's going on? And that will travel all the way across a small field. So you can still have a pretty good time with that. So it was a nice thing. Explore Scientific has been busy. Obviously, you all have had a lot going on, but you all have been live streaming a ton too. You did it. Dustin Gibson was another person. A few people just jumped in the deep end of the pool and said, this is an opportunity for us to speak with people. People are at home, not doing a whole lot. Let's talk directly to them. So let's talk a little bit about that, how you all are kind of handling the issues that you're dealing with right now, and what you're kind of seeing 2021 is going to be like.
Well, I mean, how we're handling it right now is I gotta stop bouncing the table because the computer just formed me. We've done a lot of Zoom sessions. I mean, every day, 4:00 Central Standard Time, Explore Scientific gets on the Open Go-To community, and we literally just talk about either we have special guests like with you, Ron. We had that one day, and then we kick it over either to myself, Kent Marks on the First Light Chronicles that talk about either beginning setups, what's great for beginners, either refractor, Max Sudolph Cassegrains, or Schmidt Cassegrains, Dobsonians even. And and then eyepieces. Then we kick it, and then it goes to Jerry Hubble, who's the creator of the PMC-8, which is our particular mounts that we use. He gives a little rundown on what's happening, what's going on, and what's coming up. And then after that, we do a lot of Zoom meetings with, I hate to say it this way, toy manufacturers like Costco, a lot of big names that are out there, Best Buy, Walmart, just for Zoom meetings, just to show them this is what we have in stock because they can't meet face-to-face anymore. So we have built a little multimedia studio at our corporate office, and our multimedia guy loves it to death. And I'm like, I am the cameraman. This is all I do. But that's what we're doing right now. And as CSR reps, it can be kind of frustrating. Because we're getting swarmed with a bunch of calls asking when's our stock going to come in, when's our orders going to be filled, and it's just one of those things. It's like we do the best that we can to provide all the information that we are given to our customers with the information that's given to us by our manufacturer. And with our manufacturing, they did shut down for a little bit because of the Chinese New Year, and they're slowly picking back up speed. We're supposed to be getting a whole lot of stuff coming in the next month, so that will hopefully alleviate some of the issues that customers are having is not getting gear. But it's everywhere. I mean, COVID has literally taken off within the astronomy community, and I don't foresee it stopping anytime soon. And in Arkansas, our actual governor is kind of not really forcing us, but saying that we are going to be an open state now. So we do or do not have to wear masks. it's going to be kind of interesting to see where it goes within the state, because they're talking about possibly doing star parties within the area, which me and Kent attended to last year. Granted, we did our 6 foot distance. It was like shouting 30 feet away from somebody, but it was still engaging to show everybody what you could see with the telescopes and just explain what you're looking at, how long it takes for light, a photon, to reach just your eye from Andromeda's galaxy is 2.5 billion light years away. It's just to explain that to somebody and just have them just think about it, grasp that, and then able to look through a telescope and see it. It's just phenomenal. And sometimes it takes their breath away. Even people that have never seen it, but they always just look up and just wonder. And that's what I love about this job, is that you have the ability to teach somebody and show them that there is, I mean, I don't know if there's life out there, but there is a possibility. I hope one day we will find out. It would be nice to know, because we can't be the only, well, we're not the only living thing out there or out here, because there has been science that has found some things out there. But I feel like I'm just rambling about random nonsense. Yeah, that's just what we're doing right now. And it's going to continue. Hopefully it'll get better as COVID throughout the year. Hopefully all the vaccines start kicking in and everybody's going to be able to get those. And we'll actually start meeting face-to-face with people again. Because, Ron, I'd love to meet you. I'd love to meet everybody that's here face-to-face, because I'm a people person. I'm getting used to the actual idea of doing telecommunications. I'm a people person. Shake your hand. I'm full of physical emotion. I don't like doing much Zooms, really. It's
plenty of people are I don't know exactly what they're calling it. If there's an official name, Zoom fatigue might be one of them. I'm not entirely sure, but it's got to be something. We've all dealt with that, and it's one of the reasons that we try and do a fun show like this, where it's just there's no real stipulations on what the show is. You can talk about whatever really you want to. We like to highlight all the cool things that everyone is up to, and that's with a lot of shows too. You kind of got to be careful about that. Some people don't want you promoting your stuff on their show. It's almost the point of the show. Talk about the stuff that you love. Talk about the work that you do if you want to. We love highlighting that, and so love having everybody in the audience tonight. Got some great comments here. So one of the things I want to talk about just real quick before we go into this Mars VR question that we have is, you just mentioned that search for life. Perseverance just happened. I know that, I did a live stream, a lengthy live stream. I think we did something like 14 hours total with some previous programming that we had done at both Space Foundation and also at Explore Mars. So it was a busy day for us. I know it was packed for you all at the Mars Society. So I want to talk a little bit about that, James. What are you most excited about with Perseverance? I can only imagine the stuff that's been going on with the Mars Society. I know Zubrin's probably been busy. So let's talk a little bit about that. And then we definitely have a Mars VR question here.
Yeah, absolutely. We also ran a watch party for the rover landing. It was amazing. Those things only happen about once every 8 to 10 years. So
yep.
It was amazing to see that flawless landing. And then even a couple days later, when we got those videos back, that was the most amazing video footage I've ever seen coming from Mars. That was on the par with the 2 Falcon Heavy boosters landing it simultaneously a couple years ago. It was that level of coolness, I thought. But I'm really excited about the Perseverance mission. They have an experiment on board called the MOXIE, where they're actually going to make oxygen from the Martian atmosphere, which is mostly carbon dioxide. So that's very applicable to future human missions. I'm also excited about the helicopter. I mean, how could you not be excited about trying out a helicopter on Mars? And also the fact that they're going to cache samples and then bring them back to Earth eventually. Now, their plan is to have another mission in a few years that goes and retrieves the samples, and then yet another mission that brings them back. So all that's going to maybe take like 10 years. I suspect that Elon Musk might pick them up for NASA before then.
Oh, really? I don't think I've heard anybody say that before. That's a great idea. So for those, I can't imagine that you're watching the show unless somebody has shared it with you. If you don't know what Elon Musk is up to, they've been very, very busy down in Boca Chica, Texas, working on the Starship, which will eventually take humans to Mars. I can't wait to get down there and see it, face to face, stand in front of one of those things. We have so many of our friends of the show that are down there doing great work. Will Young's been down there streaming. Our guests that we're going to be on tonight, they'll be on soon. Cosmic Perspective. They've been creating some incredible material, incredible footage. So SN10 landed this week and then blew up about 8 minutes later. Like it landed, it leaned a little bit. It was on fire. They put out the fire. There was just a lot happening. And then the stream ended, and we were all like, that's cool. And if you happen to finish up that, like I did, I finished up the stream. I had a ton of people watching. Thank you, everybody, on Space Foundation Stardom. Like I had it running on a couple different computers, and everybody enjoyed it. And then I went over to go finish some work, and I put on Everyday Astronaut stream. And like a few minutes after starting that, kaboom! And it's funny because I saw the explosion out of the corner of my eye on my other monitor. I saw that first, and I'm like, wait, what? And it took a second for Tim to react to it. And I'm like, oh my God, it just blew up. But you could it kind of shook him. Like everybody, you can hear, they're far away. They're miles away. When that blew up, it freaked everybody out that's in his crew, which was just, it was crazy to watch. And then of course, we've all kind of watched the other folks that are down there, like NASA Space Flight and so on, the people that kept the cameras rolling. So I wonder if SpaceX has footage out there. They've got to have those cameras that kept going. So they'll probably have one of their famous videos. If you don't know the running joke, it's the rapid unscheduled disassembly is their joke for whenever one of their rockets blows up. Nobody was hurt. Nobody was close to it. Like they've got a whole system set up if it's on fire or anything else. That it's these giant. I think there's 3 or 4 of them. I've never really looked too closely at it. Okay, perfect. Travis Hunter, who actually works for SpaceX, just popped into the chat, and he says, "Not for you though. What's not for me, Travis? Now I've got to know." And Travis, if you want to come along, you want to talk about it, let me know. I'll send you a link. You can hop in for the conversation for a little bit. Perfect person to come on and talk about it if you want to. I don't want to get you in trouble or anything, but you're welcome. So it's been a crazy week. First it was, so let's back this up. The week for SpaceX total was Starlink went up again. It was successful. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning. I think it might have been like 1 o'clock in the morning for me. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning East Coast. That happened. Then Starship happened. Then there was the whole story about Elon being dead. Everybody thought that he left from that, and that apparently his car had blown up. Something happened to his Tesla. So it's been a crazy week for SpaceX and Elon, which nobody's really surprised. So it's incredible to watch what's happening down there and with everything that we have going on Mars. So I would definitely like to pick everybody's brain, see what they think about what's happening. I mean, do you think that this is going to be the thing that will get humans to Mars? Because, I mean, they're moving pretty fast, and it's looking pretty incredible. Every few weeks, there's just this major upgrade to Starship, and they're moving along. So don't forget, everything that we have to do is we have to blame Travis. Hashtag blame Travis. Make sure you put that out there across Twitter. Anything bad happens to you, we blame Travis. Starlink, we blame Travis. Anything bad at SpaceX, we blame Travis. We actually blamed Travis live one night about 4 months ago when he was on the show. We just blamed him all night for everything. So I'm going to go to everybody. Ken, I want to go to you first. What do you think about it? It's in your state. It's right down the road in a sense that it's, the biggest state in the union. So from Dallas there is a bit of a run. But what do you think about all of it? In a bit, that's what I was saying. You're like what, 9 hours away?
more like 12.
Is it more? Is it really 12? Okay.
Yeah, Texas is an insanely large state. If you're going to drive, I mean, I haven't been to Brownsville area, including Boca Chica yet. But if I ever do get there, I'll fly to the Brownsville airport and rent a car or Uber from there. So obviously it's really exciting. Just to follow up on one of your other guests said, that NASA, that SpaceX, not NASA necessarily. Okay, let me backtrack. NASA has been talking about sending astronauts to Mars in like the late 2030s, give or take. And that's possibly to the orbit of Mars. And that was something that was announced a few years ago now. Whereas Elon Musk's latest update was sending cargo using the Super Heavy Starship, sending cargo to Mars by 2024 and sending people starting 2026. So, again, as one of the guests pointed out, it's probably going to be whether it's Elon himself or someone on the Super Heavy Starship, that brings those samples back that the Perseverance rover will eventually take. So there's so much to discuss. There's so much excitement. Whether it's, just regarding SpaceX alone, we could spend, the whole 2-hour show talking about plans regarding, Super Heavy Starship, Starlink's already been mentioned. The Falcon Heavy's been mentioned. We live in exciting times. In case anyone wasn't aware, let's make that official. We certainly live in exciting times for people who are interested in space travel, space development, and space settlement.
Agreed. And one of the big things too that we're seeing is that that's not the only big thing that's happening in space, especially for the average person. And that's another thing that happened this week. They wrapped up the Inspiration 4 contest, so we're going to find out soon who's going to win that. There were a lot of strong candidates in the space industry. Serafina Nance, Emily Calandrelli, Dr. Cyan Proctor. The list of people that were in the space industry that got a ton of love. I believe that Loretta Whitesides had one, like Frank White that wrote the overview effect. There were so many amazing people. I can't wait to see who gets that ticket. And even if it's not somebody in the space industry, I know what they had to go up against. I saw what those videos looked like from people from all over, and I personally can't wait to see what happens. But I have a good feeling it's going to be somebody from that. So Inspiration 4, another thing that happened this week as well. But it's just a big time, and now there's the chance that you could be on the Dear Moon flight. Hey, another thing that happened with SpaceX this week. It has been a crazy week for SpaceX, and we're going to talk about what's going on with the other companies as well, because, again, it was just every day something new was happening, and it was all big announcements. But, James, I want to go to you on this one. Obviously, we're all excited about Starship. Honestly, when I looked at it like a month ago, one of the most popular episodes that we've ever had of Red Planet Radio was when I talked to Bob Zubrin about a conversation he had with Elon about Starship. Because he had went down there, he saw him, they had a conversation, and then he brought all those details back to us. So didn't mean to actually do that. I meant to remove him, not actually make him full screen, which just made that hysterical. It's just his empty seat. Sorry about that, Tyler. We'll laugh about that when you get back. So it was amazing. I can't remember how many downloads. We got like between 2,000 and 2,500 downloads from that conversation. We talked about other things that Mars Society is up to, but that was a big piece of it and kind of how he was digesting it and what he was feeling about it. And so I know obviously huge deal for Mars Society. They had backed Elon since day one. He was even at a Mars Society event many, many moons ago when it was still noon.
He was on our board at one point, too.
There you go. Yeah. So share a little bit about that with us and kind of where you're at as a fan and also part of Mars Society.
Yeah, no, I actually had the opportunity last October at our conference to interview Elon. We did a virtual conference last year. We ended up having 10,000 attendees. We had every speaker we would ever want to have, including Jim Bridenstine, all the NASA missions, and we were able to squeeze in Elon on the afternoon of day 2. And, I had about 1 hour warning before they told me, James, you're going to ask questions of all the members to Elon. And so I was also running the live stream like kind of you do, Ron.
I did exactly the same for H2M, man. You want to talk about something that's just high stress? It's like, so we had something go down with the program that we were using. So we had to use this. This is how we were doing all of our interviews. Elon had just got to Germany and had to call in to do the interview. And he calls in. He's like, "Hey man, what's going on?" I was like, "Not too much." And I'm just walking around, and he's chewing, and he's walking around a castle. I think he rented a castle when he was in Germany. I don't think he was just saying that he was on tour of a castle. I think he rented a castle. It was the day it became worth $100 billion. I'd rent a castle too. So it was just this crazy experience. And I know, like, just trying to get it right, trying to get the times down. That team is meticulous about every single thing. So I know to put on an event and then also prepare yourself for a huge interview like that. I know exactly what that feels like.
Yeah, it was a crazy day. I mean, we ended up having some coordination with the SpaceX team. He was at the Tesla factory in Fremont, California. So they had set up a little iPad for him. Nice. And he was in meetings and he popped into this conference room and talked to us for 40 minutes and then popped back to all his meetings. But it was nuts. I had 1,900 people in the Zoom call with Elon, and Bob Zubrin and Carrie Faye and I. And we were also going it up to YouTube with the Restream.io. And so we had another 8,000 people on that. And this is all running on my laptop, right? And then CNET picked it up as well, and they were restreaming it live. So we came to find out later that over 100,000 people were watching that live. And yeah, and I didn't, like I said, I didn't have a lot of notice to prepare. I had the Zoom Q&A panel up with 500 questions, and I just tried to do my best to represent the Mars movement. It's all up on YouTube. It's on our YouTube channel for the Mars Society. It's actually one of our, by far, most popular videos now. And I was able to hit him with a couple of questions. I actually was able to get dates out of him too. So the next day, our conversation was top story on space.com and everywhere else, because I was able to get from him that the Starship is first going to go around the moon with the Dear Moon flight. They've got to do that first. And that's, 2023 or so now. And then after that would be the cargo mission to Mars. And then after that would be humans.
Fantastic. And it was a great interview. It was awesome because we hadn't really seen him do virtual events for the space industry. And it's like H2M was September. You guys were just a few weeks later, and it kind of opened the door a little bit. And we were going to get a big announcement, but it's really like he separated it between the interviews that he did in that little space. It's like, well, these people are all putting on the events. I mean, all I have to do is just hop on here and have some conversations, and I want to get some great questions. There was one point I asked him about Raptor engines, and I was like, go full detail. Like, that is something that everybody wants to know. And I think he went for like 6 or 7 straight minutes. Now, what was difficult about that was it wasn't like this kind of conversation where he was there, because he was in Germany and he called in through Zoom. It's just me sitting there while he's talking for 7 minutes, and I'm trying to like do different things and like smile and nod and do all this stuff because it's just all on my face. It was super awkward, but and Elon has a certain cadence in the way that he speaks. So it can be, if you don't see him, it can be difficult to know when he's finished speaking. So I was worried about speaking over him. But it was a great time to be a streamer and be involved in an organization, these amazing organizations that we get to work for and have these discussions. And Ken, like, I know that you've had a bit of that cool experience too. Tyler, first I'll go to you. I want to see what you feel about like Starship. And then Ken, I want to talk to you a little bit because we got to go to one of the other billionaires. I know, Ken, you had some personal time with him at one point, and I want to see that other big group that wants to be involved in space stuff. So Tyler, first to you, Starship, where are you at on it? Is it something you care about, even though you're like the astronomy? Are you just the astronomy guy? Are you excited for it? Let us know.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't. Y'all are gonna chastise me. I don't keep up with it. I'm busy in the actual astronomy portion of it.
Sure.
I am curious on why he looks like Wild Thing from Charlie Sheen, Major League, with the haircut I saw the other day.
Yeah, he just got the new haircut.
I mean, whatever he wants to do, he can do whatever. He's a billionaire. If I was a billionaire, I wouldn't care what people thought of me anyway. But I mean, he's obviously doing some great things. He's got a bunch of people around him that are either thinking 10 times better than him because he's wanting to constantly move forward. He doesn't want to take anything back. So it is kind of it's a great thing that the ship did land. Unfortunately, it did blow up a couple minutes later, but that's progress. They just got to work out the kinks just like anything else in a project. And, it'll be interesting to see what they can do in the next couple of days. I'm not even going to give them months because I would not be surprised if they don't push forward and they hopefully get men heading towards Mars within 2024. I would not be surprised.
People, Tyler, not just men. People, get it together.
People, sorry,
get
people,
it together.
People, men, women, and children. But I'm curious,
everybody.
What are they gonna do with individuals that are they gonna cryogenically freeze them for 6 months? That's a long time to be on a ship for 6 months.
It's
a long time.
It's interesting that you mentioned that earlier today. Was the SEDS Rice Owls in Space Symposium? So Owls in Space Symposium. That to me messes with my head because our huge event at Space Foundation is Space Symposium, and I hear that so often. And I'm also one of the co-producers of the Space Symposium 365 event. Symposium 365 is what we're calling it now. But it just, like, I hear that name and it just throws me off every time. And it's apparently I think it's a relatively old program too. But they had a particular group of astronauts on today, and I'm blanking on what his name was. I'll look it up and make sure a little bit later what his name is. But he said, nope, never going to happen. We're not going to do cryogenic freezing. It's just we aren't made like that. No primate can hibernate and so on. So he seemed like he had a pretty definitive answer. I've heard of other space, pros out there that say different. I mean, not everybody is agreeing with Loeb right now that Oumuamua was something having to do with aliens. A lot of people are like, nah, I don't know about that guy. So, like, it's not like any expert is going to be particularly right or wrong on this. So we've just got to wait and see. But cryogenic freezing, maybe that's the way to go. Like, 6 months is a long time, but with Starship, the way that Elon has described it was there's going to be a multitude of different ways that they will be able to have entertainment aboard. It's going to be a large ship. I mean, it's the size of a skyscraper. I haven't seen it up close yet. I'm looking forward to it, but it's apparently going to be massive. There's going to be options. So we'll see what happens. You're going to be on board with groups of people. So, I mean, there's going to have to be a commons area. I can't wait to see the inside. Like, once it's all done and it's all together with Super Heavy, I think we're going to see some amazing things. So I think that somebody had James and Ken. I think I saw you unmute. So James, go ahead and go first. And I'll again.
For those of us that have been in our house for the last year because of COVID, I'd take a 6-month trip to Mars in a second. That'd be easy.
And you're going to be with people. Like, apparently you're going to be with. I think that so. It's at the moment it can carry up to 100 tons. So with 100 tons, think about the separation, the areas that you might have there. What people are going to be able to take with them. You're probably not going to take too much. You're probably going to, he's discussed for a while that there is going to be so much there by the time that you get there. There's going to be the redundancy flights. There's going to be a lot on that planet before we get there. Maybe we even get a Zeus. If you don't know about Zeus, you got to go check out the pictures this week. He has what looks like one of the Boston Dynamics like dogs running around down there. Maybe it's a SpaceX one. I don't know who made it. It looks very much like the Dynamics one, though. It was fantastic. But there's a lot happening down there. Ken, did you want to jump in on that?
Sure. I just wanted to get back to the comment about comments regarding cryogenics and suspended animation. From a and how can I say this tactfully? It's never been done. I won't say that it never will be done in the future, but it's certainly not going to be done within the next few years. And I'm not referring to just freezing people, because yes, I know there have been people who have been frozen because of illnesses that are untreatable at this time, and with the expectation that at some point in the future there will be treatments for those illnesses. So. But they haven't been thought out yet. So we honestly don't know exactly how that's going to work. So getting back to Mars, that 6 to 9 month travel time is the range. And we don't know enough about cryogenic suspension to even take that risk, especially since you're talking about, within 4 to 6 years from now, getting started. So there will be planned activities, for the people making the trip, and this is actually something that NASA has discussed, in separate, for NASA's separate planning, where there would only be 4 astronauts traveling at a time. Again, going back to their plans of astronauts going to Mars either in the late 2030s or early 2040s initially. The plan is that, these would be people who are, for the most part, most likely introverts, people used to, not having a lot of interaction with many people, and, people who would, who emotionally would be perfectly fine, interacting with this limited number of people, a crew of 4, going to Mars and coming back for a potential 2 to 3 year round trip. So just something to keep in mind.
I love it. Beautifully stated. And I mean, I'm really one of those people that's kind of a mixture. I can hang out in my room all weekend and watch Netflix and not talk to anybody, or it can be hey man, we're going out. We want to go to a huge rave party, and a friend of mine sees me and for some reason pulls me on stage, and I'm like, what's up, everybody? What's up, Dallas, Texas? I don't care. I can be both of those if I need be. So that's going to be weird for me. This year has been strange, but I mean, can we? Yeah, well, it's super funny if you saw the TV show, the Netflix show, Away. The way that they like highlighted communications was a little weird in that. Everything's, you just kind of got to see it. But apparently we would be able to have phone calls well past the moon, I guess, like that are perfectly in time. So there's a lot of things that they talked about that I'm sure we're going to see, hopefully upgrades in the future for that. But Away was a little funny with the way that science works, but still kind of a fun show. Good drama. Were you going to say, Ken?
Okay, gotta unmute. No, it would not be real-time communication.
Yeah.
Regardless of, I didn't see Away, but here's how it works. Communication's going to travel at the speed of light, and that's 186,282 miles per second. The moon is about 1.5 times that. So guess what? Communication between the Earth and the moon takes about 1.5 seconds. So there's about a 1.5 second delay. It's kind of like some, webinars these days. So
Exactly.
it might not seem completely foreign. So at the moon's distance, again, there's a 1.5 second delay for communication each way. And as you get farther and farther from the Earth, of course, that communication lag increases, or that delay increases. So by the time you get to Mars, depending on how far Mars is away from its orbit, it could be, it's going to be in a period of minutes. I mean, it could be 7 minutes, 14 minutes, could be 20 minutes, and even longer. So it all just depends. And just to make things a little more complicated, when the Earth and Mars are on opposite sides of the sun from each other, we will not be able to communicate with each other, for that short period of time in our orbits, just to, have at least one mind-blowing statement during this webinar.
It's a great point, unless we're bouncing that information out and back to it, which again is going to time delay it even more. And I've not even heard anybody talk about that yet. I am sure that there's going to be something in place, but then again, I've not heard of a single mission for that would maybe possibly put something into where we could throw a signal that way and it would bounce it back around the sun and then onto Mars. It's going to take you probably 3 hours before you're going to get to them and then back. So who knows what that would even look like? The further away you get, the more complicated the solutions become. And I loved, Ken, it was a wonderful breakdown. Thank you so much. I was just going to kind of leave it there that they weren't right on that. I love that you went all NDT on it and be like, okay, let's talk about this for a minute. Hold on. Because it's important that people know that, they not only did they have perfect communication that had no delay, it was also perfect communication. Like, I get dropped calls 3 minutes up the road from my friends all the time. Can you imagine what a phone call to the other side of the moon would be like? Well, whatever it would be. Now, maybe they had new technology because it is supposed to be in the future, so we'll give them that. There can be a little bit of some things, but some things I don't think that unless if they had figured out directly on point communication, there's probably going to be some other technologies that they've been on too. So it can be a fun show, but just, as most things, not all the science is right. And hey, listen, even The Martian had something that Andy Weir has proudly talked about. He tried to make it Neil deGrasse Tyson proof, but he said we had to have a way to get the show going. And so that what happens in the book actually wouldn't happen. You would never see a storm there that's that strong that would pick up an astronaut in a spacesuit and blow them away, even at a third-ish of their weight. So with gravity being what it is on Mars, so that's not a thing. But it still was. It was fun enough. It was close enough that they could kind of mess around with it, and not too many people would question it. But it's one of the very first things he talks about. And whenever Neil interviewed him, he was like, I'm just going to go ahead and get this out of the way. We realized that this wasn't, scientifically sound, and we tried to tell everybody that in interviews. I tried to Neil proof it because I knew you'd be tweeting about it, and so I actually had a pretty cool experience. Before I got to do the stuff that I get to do now, I had gotten to see Neil deGrasse Tyson speak while I was in Texas. and we went and saw him, and that was right around the time that the movie was getting ready to come out. And so what the interesting part of it was that he talked about Andy Weir that night. And Andy then talked about what had happened, and he didn't realize that it happened during a live event. Well, I recorded the piece. I'm like, actually, no, what he did was he was on stage in front of all these people and live tweeted that while we were all sitting there watching him, and here's a video of it. And that's how I met Andy and eventually interviewed him, and that was like my first famous person interview. But it's amazing what the internet can do, the small moments that it can create and how it can change things for people entirely. And there's everybody here has seen that within your organizations, I'm sure. So it's just a crazy thing how this connects us in so many different ways. I love it. I do say that we have a couple of different comments that are coming in here real quick. So there is one I forgot to get to earlier. I do want to go into the other things that are happening in the space community this week. But we did have one is, will Mars VR, let me find it here real quick because we had a lot of comments that I have missed. Is the VR browser based? That's from David Farina over at Cosmos Safari. So James, can you tell us a little bit more in depth about it?
Yeah, we actually are going to use Unity, which is a game platform, to build Mars VR. And so it won't work in the browser, but it will work in major headsets. And we will have a way to run it on a PC without a VR headset too. But the best experience is going to be in virtual reality because it's immersive, because you'll have 360 video and sound around you. It's going to be a much better experience with a major VR headset.
The stuff that I'd seen from MDRS was killer. Like, I don't know. I know that you were still very much in the process of it. And it was early days whenever we did the Red Planet Radio podcast. You all have been working heavily on it. I'm happy to hear that not only is it still moving forward, but you all have made such huge progress. You're doing the follow up Indiegogo, as everybody can see down there below. $81,535 raised at 81% of its goal. 27 days left. You can pledge at marsvr.com or I'll wait for it to scroll there. igg.me/@/MarsVR. So go check that out. We're going to talk a little bit more about that program later tonight. But let's get down to some of the awesome things that are more awesome things that are happening this week. A video of the absolutely massive Blue Origin New Glenn facility was released, and they showed around. This place is huge. Like, this is going to be one of the biggest rockets that is out there. One of the only heavy rockets, along with super heavy, and we're going to have SLS. So we've got a few other things that are out there, but this thing is massive in comparison to what we've seen so far with Blue Shepard. If you don't know what Blue Shepard is, you don't know what Blue Origin is. Blue Origin is the organization, the company that Jeff Bezos created to take people to space. He wants to do suborbital space flights, get people up there, and it's a beautiful, wonderful thing. So I'm excited about it to see what they're going to do. Their test flights have all been great. They've sent the capsule to suborbital space and back a few times now. We're definitely going to have something amazing in that with that Virgin Galactic. Some of them were space balloons. There's all kinds of stuff that's coming. But Ken, I do know that a few years ago, at one of the major events that NSS does, you got to shake the man's hand for a minute. So I know that Blue Origin probably is a little close to your heart with the stuff that they're doing as well. I say that based on absolutely nothing other than the fact I know that you met the man one time and shook his hand. But I want to go to you first to talk about it a little bit. Blue is a different kind of animal than what we're seeing necessarily with SpaceX. Like around the moon, back, cool. But the focus is, they've got some stuff in the commercial space area with NASA, but really the big goal is Mars. That's not necessarily what Jeff's looking at, right? So I definitely want to talk about that with everybody here a little bit. But Ken, I'll go to you first.
Yeah, sure. That was a wonderful experience. But if you don't mind, before I talk about that, there was a question and comment in the chat that I believe was for me. From Janine with NSS in Australia. So hello to my Australian counterpart. Now back and about her question, the laser communications, that whether it's Earth to Mars or just Earth to any destination in space, that allows for a higher rate of data transmission. So whether it's radio waves, whether it's laser, it's going to travel at the speed of light, regardless. According to Einstein, that's our limit. Yes, we could get into a discussion of physics that says no, that's not the limit. But for the purposes of this discussion, and as far as what NASA has done and plans to do, they consider the speed of light as the the speed limit. Also, now, Ron, back to your question about Blue Origin. At the National Space Society's International Space Development Conference, or ISDC for short. That's kind of a mouthful, but it's an annual conference which had been face to face, of course, like way back in like 2019, if anybody remembers that year.
God. Why does that feel like so long ago?
I know
It's not
crazy.
really been that long ago, but last year there was jokes. It's like, oh man, March was a really long year. It really was. It felt like it. It was so dramatic. To think that it has been a year as of middle of last week when I was at the governor's mansion. We were doing an event for Space Foundation. We came back and they said somebody there had COVID. And we were all frightened when we were scared. We didn't know. Now a few of us have had it and dealt with it and damn near died. It is not fun. Take it seriously. Wear your masks. Sorry, that's just my little preach because you don't want it. Trust me. Even if I'm not even 40 yet, and not a good time. But still, it was crazy. It completely shut down everything except for space. And we'll talk about that one later. But back to you, Ken.
Yeah, no problem. No problem at all. And agreed. I'll co-sign on everything you said. So conference, the annual space conference of the National Space Society. If I can give a shameless plug for that, if it's not against the rules, it's an awesome conference, especially it won't happen this year in 2021, but hopefully starting 2022, it will be in person again. And you have space VIPs, astronauts, engineers, scientists, the occasional space billionaire. You mentioned Jeff Bezos. That I had. There was a VIP reception that I was proud to be a part of, and had a chance to drink a little champagne. And I posted the pictures that Ron's referring to. I've got champagne in one hand, and I shook Jeff Bezos's hand. And many people have asked me when they saw those pictures, it's like, well, what did you ask him? And I wasn't going to ask him anything. He's a billionaire. I mean, and I wasn't, and I wasn't in an interviewing mindset, like at least two of you guys are. So what I did was I said, oh, by the way, through the National Space Society, North Texas, which is the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex and beyond, for those of you not familiar with Texas geography, I said that I have been giving these PowerPoint presentations since 2011, talking about commercial spaceflight companies and the plans that they have for whatever it is that they intend to do. And I mentioned Blue Origin, which at the time was considered, it's 10 years ago now, it was considered a really secretive company. It's like nobody had any details. People used to think SpaceX was kind of secretive, several years ago, but not on the level of Blue Origin. So this was before even the New Shepard had ever been seen and before it had been launched. So and for those who aren't familiar, Blue Origin has built and has tested over a dozen times, maybe 14 times or 15, their New Shepard rocket, which is suborbital. And it's intended for space tourism as well as suborbital spaceflight for testing, for experiments, I should say. Then the next rocket, which is under construction now at Kennedy Space Center, is the New Glenn rocket. Oh, and by the way, New Shepard is named after Alan Shepard, who was the American who conducted the first suborbital spaceflight. So there's the suborbital rocket named after him. New Glenn, named after the former Senator John Glenn, the late Senator John Glenn, first American to orbit the Earth. So this is an orbital class rocket. And I believe it's intended to carry 50 tons approximately to low Earth orbit. So a pretty powerful rocket, somewhere between medium lift, heavy lift. It just kind of depends on who you ask. And again, under construction, and I'm sure those are the pictures that you're referring to, Ron. And there are also plans, and which no one's seen anything yet to my knowledge about it, but there are plans for a new Armstrong rocket to come later.
And that was new to me. I didn't realize that even existed. Like I've just recently, I'm talking about like in the last few months, heard about that. I thought Glenn was going to be their end all be all. I didn't realize they were working on an even bigger one. So I'm thrilled to hear more about New Armstrong myself.
Yeah, and so am I, because all I know is that, and they haven't built it yet, to my knowledge. There hasn't been any hardware constructed for New Armstrong yet. It's a concept, and again, this New Glenn, the orbital class rocket, which is under construction. New Armstrong would, of course, eventually carry people and or payload to the moon. I haven't seen any details released yet. I cannot wait until I do see the details and see at least, some artwork, so I could add that to my presentations. That's kind of my thing, is those presentations and having the latest and greatest information in those presentations. So yeah, it was a pleasure getting back to Jeff Bezos, meeting him. And again, I was explaining to him, I had been talking to my audiences about his company, even though I didn't have any photos or any artwork, to show them, to show my audiences. And he got a good laugh out of that. And he said, well, that means my guys are doing their job. They didn't want to, at that time, back in 2011 and 2012 and 2013, they didn't want to release information to the public, but eventually they did. And I was able to add some new Shepard photos to my presentations, and had new Shepard videos that downloaded from YouTube. So anyway, it was an extremely cool experience. And everybody by now, well, I shouldn't say everybody, there's the expression pics or it didn't happen. I am so glad.
All right. And if for the video game crowd, if you don't know, maybe Pixar didn't happen, but for the video game crowd, ours has always been screenshots or it didn't happen. So like if you're in the middle of something happened in WoW, and it's like a Leroy Jenkins moment, you don't have a screenshot, we're gonna yell at you. So just in case.
yeah, exactly. Really cool. So yeah, I talked to some of my I'm proud to say my friends who are National Space Society leaders, also who were in this VIP reception, and I handed one of them my phone, and I said, I'm going to talk to Mr. Bezos, Jeff Bezos. Would you take some pictures of him with my phone? And of course, the person said, well, I'm really not good at that. I said, just kind of hold it up and press this button. That's all you got to do. Nothing fancy. I'm not asking you to make a video. Just take a couple of pictures. So I got one picture from one person, and afterwards, there was another person who came up to me saying, oh, Ken, by the way, I've got a picture of you talking to Jeff Bezos from a different angle than the other person was taking a picture. So, there's one, with the back of your head and his face, and the other with the back of his head and your face. So I'm like, this is just too cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to put these in my presentation, first with the back of his head, and I'm going to ask, so who, back of his head and my face, asking who thinks that I'm talking to, who was the person at the time, the richest person in the world. So that's how I
think he's back to the richest person in the world again. I think he actually took it back over from Elon, but by like $1 billion. Like they're within, they keep leapfrogging over each other, but when it's over $100 billion and you're both like jumping from like 103 to 104, you're both the richest people. You're the richest men in the world now, is what you are. When it's that close, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So it just made for an extremely cool presentation that I'm proud to say I've been able to give to various audiences just over and over, updating some of the other details. But those two photos, I may never need to change them.
Yeah. Why would you? I mean, it's
right.
It's not like we're gonna see Jeff grow his hair back. Like, I don't think that's gonna happen. Like, that's kind of his look now. Either. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you've got it and that's it. Like, you might, and you're pretty gray in there already. So I mean, I think that and he's clean shaven. I don't even know that he has eyebrows left. Honestly, he's just so in the zone. He's just so intense right now and so jacked. I mean, so for those of you that are listening in on the show tonight, you've never been to one of my favorite events, even before I worked there, was Space Symposium a few years ago. Space Symposium here in Colorado Springs. It's normally held every spring, just like what happened with the Humans to Mars Summit, Mars Society's convention, ISDC. We definitely had to do virtual version of it. Ours is kind of an ongoing thing, but we're hoping to have a hybrid event later this year. But normally we get somewhere around like 15,000 people that come out here, and we basically take over this resort. And the first time I heard Jeff Bezos speaking, the first time he actually spoke at a space event was at our Space Symposium event. I was like 3 rows behind him, and it was one-on-one conversation on stage, and he talked about everything that was going on. One, I got to get to this first because I loved it. He said that there was a past girlfriend that said that he created Amazon so that way he can make his rocket company, and then he laughed and was like, I'm not going to say whether that's true or not. And it was one of the most human moments I've ever seen of him. But he was definitely trying to like hit at that was the truth, that he really, really loves space. And now that everybody hears that he's stepping down from Amazon, the question is that going to be focused? Like everybody is guesstimating that he is going to focus on Blue Origin. To me, that makes sense. It's been quiet for so long, and there's been so much going on. And then at the end of 2022, we're going to see the launch of New Glenn. I think that's exactly what he's doing. I think that's going to be his main focus. That's personally, like you can see him speak and you can tell he's a passionate speaker, but every so often you see in him like the moment when Jobs would talk about something that you could tell that he was really focused on. Like, yes, okay, this is all cool, but I want to stand on stage today and tell you about the iPhone. And you could just see in his face he's about to blow your mind, and then he did. I feel like when Bezos is talking about Blue Origin and invested in it full time, when that's the full conversation, you can see his eyes light up. I think that's what he's going to do. So I'm really excited for it. And anyway, so that's the first part of it. Second part of it was the next year, Bezos shipped out one of the New Shepard rockets and erected it out front of the Broadmoor, the resort that we were at, and also brought the what will be the capsule that everybody will ride in, so you can lay down in it, check it out. We had multiple people that saw it for the first time. Astronauts were there, laid down in it, checked it out, took pictures. Bezos shows up. He flies into town, shows up, does an impromptu news conference in jeans that I'm sure cost $10,000 and a Blue Origin zip up that's $40 on the store, and then turns around and leaves after like this whole thing. It was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. I couldn't believe that somebody shipped a rocket across the country to show it off, because every year we have somebody new that has something out front, and to say we're going to bring the actual rocket was just the coolest thing ever. I mean, since then we've had plenty of awesome. Sierra Nevada has brought the full size Dream Chaser. Yeah, exactly. We've had that. Last year we had the mock-up of what Mars Base Camp is going to look like from Lockheed Martin. Like every year it's something cool, but to ship a rocket from, I think, Texas was just crazy. So in the private chat here, I do see that, James, you want to jump in on that as well. And Bezos talk a little bit about, NSS's ISDC. So please do.
Yeah, no, I was at that conference as well, Ken and Ron. That was a really awesome event. That was right around the time that show The Expanse had been canceled by the Sci-Fi Network, and Jeff was getting an award at the banquet for NSS. He was getting the Gerard K. O'Neill Award, and Freeman Dyson was there, and Freeman Dyson was actually Jeff Bezos' advisor in college, which was hilarious to know. But right there in the ballroom, there's about 400 people. It wasn't the VIP event that Ken was in. I was with the regular peons, but I was in the table next to The Expanse cast, because they had just done a panel at ISDC about an hour before the banquet. And so they were there, and Jeff gets on stage, and the first thing he says is, I just got a text on my phone that we are picking up The Expanse. So The Expanse is saved. And that room went nuts.
I bet.
Okay? I mean, and I put it on, like, I got my phone out and I took a little video, and then I posted on Reddit that that The Expanse was saved, and I got hit by the same thing. Pixar didn't happen, but I had the video, so I put the video up there. I was like one of the first people on Reddit to do that. It's pretty awesome. My karma shot up. It was great.
Oh yeah, isn't it awesome?
Yeah.
I did. So to James, what James is mentioning, for those that I can't imagine you wouldn't know what Reddit is, but it isn't really as popular among a bunch of different groups as you would think that it is. But it is it's the front page of the internet. Like anything you want to talk about is there. And to mention what you talked about, James, I went to the SpaceX group and was like, listen, I just got the coolest birthday present ever. I'm going to get to interview Elon Musk. So one, I want to let you guys know what it is we're going to do with this event, with the Humans of Mars Summit and so on. It's like, but if you all will let me do this huge group, it's like 250,000 people, then I'll take one of the questions that you all send me, and then I'll get it approved from our leadership, and I'll ask it live during the thing, and then I'll share it here. Man, I came back to that thing the next day after like the interview, and it was just I never got to everything. I'm like, if you've never seen a viral post or had one before, I've got one that's pinned on Stardom right now that's got like 2 million views, like 78 or 70,000 reactions. The comments still are going, and it's been 3 months since we put it up. You will never be able to catch up. I actually have a bot that will go through, and it will invite 500 people at a time from the reactions. And on that, at one point I had to stop after it got to about 10,000. So twice a day, think about the numbers, twice a day, 1,000 people a day, and I got to 10,000. Think about how long that took me. That was almost 3 weeks. Now it takes almost the entire day to even invite anybody on that. Like anything over like 12,000, it's going to take me like 2 days for it to even get through that 500. The amount of people it is with a bot that is running full time, that's just going to each one, going click, invite. It still takes that long. It's amazing when something like that goes off. And James, I'm sure yours was huge. And I do know that your interview was also put on Reddit. And I saw the same thing with that. Like it had done well. It was already killing it on the views. And then somebody put it in one, it's in the Mars Society one, like it is anything that we do. Red Planet Radio's there, all that is. But it went everywhere. It was in SpaceX Lounge. It was in Space General. It was in Spaceborne. Very similar to all the groups on FaceX or the Facebook, the SpaceX group, and so on. That thing just went through the roof. The views really are fantastic on it, and the questions were stellar. It was just a great job, well done overall. And I know ISDC, is in a process. You all will do. Do you have an idea of will it be a mixture of in person and virtual this year? Is there any discussions about that yet, Ken?
Oh, there have been discussions for months.
Fantastic.
To answer your question first, it will be virtual only. For a moment, there were discussions about in person and virtual, but just for safety and liability reasons, the decision was made to make it virtual only. So there will be announcements. There will be an agenda posted on the NSS website, which is space.nss.org. For what it's worth, I also have a Facebook page, but that's how Ron and I met initially. And anyway, I'll at some point post that on my Facebook page as well. If I may, getting back to that awesome ISDC that we were already talking about, I had to think back, which year was that? It was 2018. That was 3 years ago, the one with Jeff Bezos, where you were in attendance. And I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to meet you face to face then. Well, I met Jeff Bezos. We already talked about that, and got pictures with him. I also met Freeman Dyson, who I had read about as a kid. I can say nerdy kid, I guess, on a call like this.
Never be embarrassed of being a nerd, brother. Never be embarrassed. We're nerds, we're geeks, we're all those things, and now we get brag. Now it's the coolest thing in the world. Like if you would have said you loved X-Men when I was 12, you would have got beat up like I did. Then Hugh Jackman had to come along and sing to women and do all the awesome stuff, make us all look bad. Like none of us going to look that good in a blue sweater. Hugh, get off the cover of that magazine. And then, now we all obviously love X-Men, and we're all waiting for the mutants. Woo, woo. Mm-hmm. That's a different podcast, though. Ken.
No problem. So met Jeff Bezos, met pictures with Jeff Bezos, pics with Freeman Dyson, and pics with 3 of the stars of The Expanse. I wasn't sitting at the table next to them like you were, James, but after the dinner was over, after that enormous celebration, I've explained that celebration to people also, or at least I've tried to, as I was giving presentations. It was kind of like being at whatever your favorite sporting event is, pick a sport, it was like winning a championship, people just cheered like winning a championship. So after all that enthusiasm and the high fives and there were hugs and just all of that, I thought, okay, am I worthy enough to come up to these stars, these TV stars, who are moving over to becoming Amazon Prime stars? as was pointed out. And so I came up to them and said, "Hey, can I get a pic with you guys? Because nobody's going to believe that I met you." So I can't remember the actors' names, but two of the male actors and one woman actor.
Nice.
I got pictures with separately, and it was awesome. And that's just one example, one excellent example of what it's like going to the National Space Society's conference, that ISDC. And I hope there will be more that are at least on par with that, even if there isn't one that's any better. But if there's one that's even close, it's something that you'll be able to talk to your fellow space peeps and space fam about forever. So it's highly recommended.
Man, I can't wait for it. And I talked to Shauna Pena, Dr. Shauna Pena has done quite a bit with NSS2, and she was going to do these speed talks, kind of like lightning talks that are very close to TED Talks. And I was speaking with her about possibly doing one of those. I was talking about doing my first TED Talk last year. Like, there was a bunch of things that then, whoom, everything shut down. It was just, we were in the middle of, what was it? There was a big event that was happening last year when everything shut down. It was Satellite. Satellite was huge. They had just had like their big Elon Musk like in-person event. There was so much that was going on, and then after that, everything kind of changed, like dynamic-wise. We all started looking at what does virtual look like, changing the whole dynamic, everybody going digital. So I think this year is going to be even more exciting, because even though these events have to be virtual, we all learned so much. Who I was as a producer and content creator last March, it was a full education, because I had to become a video editor. I had to start doing a bunch of things to help out with Space Foundation that up to that point I hadn't done, but I really wanted to learn. I wanted to learn it, period. So I got that really cool thing where it's like, we're going to switch you over to doing this stuff, and here's a bunch of things that you really want to do. Go learn this stuff. All right, boss, not a problem. Thanks, Rich. Love my job. So that ended up being just a really great thing, and led to them bringing me on full time, which was awesome, becoming the social media lead. There was just a lot of opportunities for people, if you were open to it, to do some really cool things. And I know that everybody here has taken advantage of that. Explore Scientific has done the same thing with the live streams that you all are doing. Do you all have any, is there plans to do anything bigger? I know you're doing, so we mentioned the event earlier, the stuff that you all normally do, but you all have been doing the family star parties too, which is awesome. So there's a mixture of shows like the one that I was on. Then there's just, we're going to be on for 3 hours looking at all the cool stuff in the night sky. Like, we all had huge moments last year. There was a couple of different eclipses. We had the Great Conjunction, which everybody and their mother, the Great Conjunction live stream for us is more popular than the Starship launch that happened earlier this week, the landing. Like, that's how much people were invested in that in December. And I know that you all were all over that. I can only imagine what the sales looked like leading up to that. And you guys are probably really honestly still catching up to what happened in December. I mean, I don't want to say for sure, but I guarantee that was a bit of it.
I think everybody is really in the industry. Some people are getting stuff in, some people are not. It just depends. But we actually had a star party last night. It was the UK version, so to speak. So everybody that was overseas, we did it with them, and it was great. We gave them the reins. Scott was still the actual he was the entertainer, but he would let all the UK guys talk amongst themselves, do what they needed to do, chit chat, and some of the guys over here, people over in the US, just join in and just be a camaraderie with each other, and just, what's the new thing coming in, what everybody should be looking out for as far as equipment wise. It's a great way to stay in touch with each other when we can't be around anybody anymore, unfortunately, and it's only going to get better. I think we have another one coming up. I believe it's this Tuesday or Wednesday. I can't remember the star party. Please, Scott, don't hurt me. But yeah, it's one of those things. It's always great to see what other individuals are doing within their community to either spread outreach or just keep everybody looking up into the clear skies. And that's just what we always try to preach and tell everybody to keep doing.
And I want to look up the details for that right now, so that way everybody can join in. And the information looks like Oh no, it looks like it's not up yet. It looks like you don't have any official information out there, so don't be too stressed out about it. But I do see the one that you all just did. That was actually yesterday. So if you all check out Explore Scientific on Facebook, which is / or the @ Explore Scientific USA, you can see all the amazing stuff that they do. It looks like, yeah, that Global Star Party killed it. Had a bunch of great guests on it from all over. I mean, it looked like very much so. Astrophotographers from Sweden. I mean, you all are bringing in people from all over constantly. And they're always big shows. There's always a lot going on. You're going to see people from everywhere. It's really a great setup, and I love the fact that the owners of these big organizations in astronomy have all come to it so hardcore. Like they realize what it is and how that they can connect with people all over. And man, again, there was a big learning curve for a lot of people. I already knew how to surf, man. And it was like, oh my God, all of a sudden I'm in Australia during, storm season. And then everybody else is just dipping their toes in for the first time. You got to figure out how to adapt and what to do. And everybody did a great job. So honestly, one of the things I want to show real quick is that reaction video. Whenever the room lost its mind when Bezos shared that they were going to save the Expanse. But first, we do have a question from Twitch. James, somebody asked what the red, green, and blue flag is behind you. I've never seen it before. And I'm wondering if it's something you didn't create, or it's not if it's a Mars Society thing, or where you got it, because I love the idea of what this is. So I'll let you say that, and then I'll share your video.
Yeah, this is the Mars flag. It was designed by Pascal Lee. Originally flew up in the Arctic at the Hot and Mars project, and we've been flying it at our bases since then. It's been to space, not this one, but the one that Dr. Zubrin has in his office, has flown on the space shuttle. This one's been to our base in Utah, the Mars Desert Research Station. But yeah, it symbolizes the past, present, and future of Mars. If you remember back in the 90s, there was a book series by Kim Stanley Robinson called Red Mars, Green Mars, Blue Mars, which was kind of telling the future history of Mars. And so it was I think the flag design was inspired by that. But we proudly wear it as a flag pin and fly it at our bases. It's part of our Mars movement now.
Love it. That's awesome. I hadn't actually seen it before, so I'm glad to get the education on it. So we're gonna share this video real quick because it's just I'm sure it's gonna be awesome. I can just tell by looking at it how everybody is already in the audience. Like they're already stoked about it. So yeah, here we go.
This is my video, right? You're showing? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
During dinner 10 minutes ago, I just got word that the Expanse is safe.
Fantastic. So if you couldn't hear what he said that during dinner they had just got the news. Like he sets it up and he's talking all chill about it, like, hey, blah blah blah, and you kind of hear like a little bit of commotion as people are realizing what he's about to say. It's like at dinner, I got the news that the Expanse is officially saved, and everybody loses their mind. The cool thing about that is that did Jeff get it and then the cast got it, or did the cast find out during it?
No, Jeff got it on his cell phone. He got a text from the legal team and the folks that were negotiating with the production company. It happened right there at the dinner that Jeff got the text. The guy, so right cool. In that shot on the right side was the table with all the stars of that show. They didn't know. They found out along with the rest of us.
How cool is that? Those kind of moments are just, you can't schedule that. You can't, I mean, sure, even if he, which I'm not saying that he did, I'm sure that it actually happened the way that it happened. Those moments are amazing. But even if there was just a bit of that setup, that's the reason that he's Bezos, and that's the reason he's going to get people to Mars. Get people to space, million people working in space. Mars may eventually be something that's up his alley. He's not really there yet. He's like, hey, listen, let's do this, let's do that. Yeah, Ken.
Well, yeah, if I may, and I didn't say this earlier. Elon Musk, is talking about, with his Starship getting people to the moon, but his main goal is Mars. And of course, Mars Society, Dr. Robert Zubrin, his main goal is Mars. However, with Jeff Bezos, his goal, as you said, millions of people living and working in space it's the same foundation as the goal of the National Space Society, which is space settlements, or specifically orbiting space settlements. And just I have to throw in some history here. Before the National Space Society was founded in 1987, there was the National Space Institute and the L5 Society. And I was actually a student member of the L5 Society. This goes back to 1974, 1975, respectively, when those organizations started, not when I joined. So L5 Society, the idea behind that was millions of people living and working in space in orbiting space settlements. Dr. Gerard K. O'Neill was the founder. And again, Jeff Bezos, I think this was mentioned earlier, was just enamored with that idea, was inspired with that idea. And again, so was the L5 Society. Then you had the merger to the National Space Society. And, our foundation now is not just orbiting space settlements, but also settlements on the moon, settlements on Mars. And so the orbiting space settlements are just a part of that. And so just to clarify, his plan is not about the moon or Mars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's space in general, and you hear millions of people in space, and so I always had to laugh too. And he didn't do this for any particular reason. What he did was awesome, saving the expanse, but saving the expanse also worried me a little bit. Like Jeff says that he wants millions of people working in space, and then he saved the expanse. Have you ever seen what it looks like on the expanse for millions of people working in space? Jeff, you trying to tell us something? I'm just kidding. I'm only playing. But it was one of those things that but it is such a right. It's like but it's incredible what the work everybody over there at Blue is doing. Seriously, it's been awesome to watch. And when it really comes down to it, I am completely fine with flying on Blue Origin or Virgin Galactic. I would love to. I don't care how I get to suborbital space, as long as it's one of the proven companies. And right now, I mean, they're working on it. Virgin Galactic's working on their next couple of flights. They just had a successful one, I believe, just last in January while I was sick. The delayed one from December. But they've done the same thing with Blue Origin. Like the last few have successfully got the capsule to suborbital space and back. We're not far away from seeing this happen. COVID pushed things back a little bit, but 2022 is going to be just as big as this year is. So it's awesome to see that. Tyler, do you want to do anything space-wise? Do you want to take a trip to suborbital space? Will your wife kill you if you had the chance to do that?
As long as I can leave my kids behind, I'll just take my wife with me. It's always been.
You get that grandma and grandpa, you're gonna be stuck with the kids.
They wouldn't mind it. They wouldn't mind it at all. No. I mean, yeah, it'd be great, but I don't know. So being confined, I'm prior military, so being in a confined space for a long period of time kind of wears on me a little. So I don't know how well I would actually do, to be honest. I like being in control.
What do you mean by like long period of time? So most of these flights will only be minutes long. It's launch landing. I think the whole thing's over in 30 minutes for both. Yeah.
I can't step outside and enjoy the nice fresh air. I'm stuck inside a big rocket bay or a big station. I like to go out, stretch my arms, run a little bit, go outside, enjoy the outside with not having an actual suit to keep me alive. I don't know. I like it on Earth. I really do.
He's like, no, it's like Earth is fine. And that's, so many people have talked about that. Again, something that happened earlier on Owls in Space Symposium. They were saying, one of the same astronaut that was talking about what I mentioned earlier. Again, I forgot to look up his name. I'm going to do that as soon as I get done. Had mentioned, listen, Antarctica is cold, and it is all the challenges that we have there. Like you can walk outside and you can breathe. There's a lot of things that come along with Antarctica, and not a lot of people are down there. Like there's just now a settlement really down there 100 years later. It's going to be really difficult to see what it's going to be to live on another planet, on Mars. Yes, there's going to be challenges. There certainly are. But I think it's all the resources that are currently being planned from the SpaceX and groups side. Like they want to have so much redundancy there, so many things already there and in place for years before humans get there. And we're talking about, it could be in the next few years. Now, we all know Elon's timeline, but generally when you hear, whenever you hear Gwen Shotwell say something, you know that it's probably a little bit more serious. And Gwen recently mentioned that they want to have Starship in orbit this year. So that means Super Heavy's coming along. We're probably going to see more of that soon. And it is like there's a couple. I actually saw this on Everyday Astronaut stream the other day. There is a great person on Twitter that has kind of put out where everything's at in order, like the next few Starships, what they've already made. Travis from SpaceX mentioned a little bit earlier in the comments that they're going to be looking at redesign stuff for that. Whatever you see launch on an SN right now, 10 is a few designs in the past. That is not currently what they are building because they learned from everyone and put all those changes into the next one, and they're just constantly pumping out new ones. So the ones that we're going to see once we get to 13, I think they're skipping 13, if I remember correctly. I think they're going like 11, 12, then they're going to 14 and 15. I can't remember what it was. I know they're skipping a few in there. But once we see what those next ones are in 3 or 4, that's going to be all the stuff that's now. So imagine what they're going to be like in 6 months. I can't wait to see what happens. Like if they can get down to 2, if they can get up to 2 a month on that one, we're going to start seeing that. I can't wait to see what Super Heavy looks like. Heavy was enough. Like everybody saw the reaction of Elon alone, where he had to run outside and be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it went up! Like I can't believe it did it on the first try." And those two boosters landing right next to each other within like a second of each other is one of the coolest things on the internet. Like you see that video and you're like, I know what I'm seeing is real because my eye can see CGI. Like, I can see it all day long. And even now it's amazing to see, but you see, and you're like, there's some pieces to that just, that it's real. And it's just the most amazing thing in the world. And it's fantastic to see it. And I'll be honest, there are moments when I see some of the stuff from Starship with some of those angles, and it's so massive that it almost feels unreal to me. I can't wait to be down there and see that thing and see it live and stream it live. So that's all going to be coming very soon. Hint, I might be going down to Boca Chica here in a few weeks. I'm really hoping to go see it live, man. I want to see it. I want to see one of those launches. I don't care if it lands and then blows up. They're on their way. Like they had a lot of explosions before they landed like 70 something in a row. I'm totally fine with it. So what I want to do is I want to get to the last question for everybody tonight. And then we're going to go through and do just a quick wrap up with everyone, a little bit of what they're up to, where you can find them on social media and all the cool things they have coming up. So my last question is we've talked about a lot tonight. We didn't get to Rocket Lab, which I would love to talk about too. They're talking about their next rocket. They're going to go public with the company. So everybody is really into most people are into reusability. That's a really big thing. But so many people are putting it in so the head of Rocket Lab said that they would never fly humans and that he would eat his hat if they ever said that. And so this week on his video, he literally ate his hat, which was just the coolest thing. If you don't know about Beck, go check out Pete Beck over on Twitter, Rocket Lab, all the stuff that they're doing. We have an awesome conversation with him from Space for You, from Space Foundation. One of, if our not most popular podcasts that we've ever done. My awesome workmate, Andrew, did it. Conversation's great. He's such an interesting person to talk to. I interviewed him a few years at Symposium. Just one of the best guys that's out there, one of the best leaders for space, really, and ambassadors for space. And so when he said that, he had to back it up and be like, I guess I got to eat my hat now. It looks like we're going to that next stage. Everybody is stepping up even more so than where they were a few years ago. Do you think that this is finally it? Like, are we really going to do this? Are we really going to get into space? Are we really going to have, maybe outposts on the moon? Are we really going to settle Mars? Where are you on the whole thing? Because some of you have seen these moments for years, and some of us are just now really. I'm only 6 years into this, Tyler. I don't know how long you've been doing it on the astronomy side, but I mean. For some people, I could have been in it for 25 years, but it was recent for me. I was in my early 30s when this thing got me. So I kind of want to see where you all are at. Like, is this really it? Is this the space revolution we've all been kind of waiting for? And if so, what are you most excited about? Ken, I'll go to you first.
Okay. I probably should have gone last, but I'll go ahead anyway. I've been following space for 47 years. I mentioned earlier 1974, 1975, when those predecessor organizations started for National Space Society. Well, no, I wasn't aware of them at the time, but it just so happens it was 1974 as a little kid when I caught the space bug. And I had been reading and learning about space ever since. When I went to college, I majored in aerospace engineering and would be an aerospace engineer now. Who knows if it would be for NASA or SpaceX or Blue Origin or my own company, who knows? But the Space Shuttle Challenger, you all may have heard, January 28th, 1986, had a rapid unscheduled disassembly. And that was during my junior year in college, majoring in aerospace engineering. So I changed majors because of that. But just deep down inside, never lost my love for space. So I had been, just sort of quietly following it ever since, and came across National Space Society again and joined in well, not again, but was basically reintroduced in 2010. And so I've been, I guess I have a history. I'm looking, now that I'm talking about it, I really have seen, everything from, the Skylab 4 launch in 1974. I watched it, on TV, Apollo Soyuz test project in 1975. To go from that to where we are now, I truly believe it's real. Whether the general public believes it, understands it, they may not now, but eventually they will.
Fantastic. I mean, beautifully stated as always, Ken. Tyler, we'll go to you next, man. So what do you think? So, I mean, obviously I know that this isn't necessarily your area, but let's get into kind of the other piece of it. Is this when we're going to see, with everything that's been happening and that social distancing, some things a lot of people picked up that maybe they would have never picked up before. I'm a tea drinker now. I never thought I'd drink tea. I love coffee, but I got to bring my blood pressure down. So tea's a little bit more my speed these days. So that's not something I thought that I would be into, but it's amazing how much this has changed. And now we're seeing astronomy. So many more people are interested in it. And there's so much education online now from what people are doing. So is astronomy going to continue to be this big thing? Do you think that it's going to spread out more and more? You all are seeing months of time where you're still waiting on stuff to come in. It's literally kind of the bane of your existence right now. But also, how awesome is that? Like, there's so many orders for astronomy equipment that every major supplier is backed up and waiting to get their stuff. And that many people wanted it. Is this going to be a bit of this, moving this forward? Do you think that, astronomy and everybody's love it is going to be like, I want to get up there now that I know, so many eyes have been opened by this amazing hobby, lifestyle, and possible profession?
Yeah. I mean, I hate to say it, COVID was a blessing in disguise, or a curse in disguise, however you may want to look at it, because it has brought people together within the astronomy community, space community, and it's actually making us push forward. I don't know if COVID had anything to do with it, but it's just two individuals that just free spirits, just want to push the human society further than where it should be. Has it helped astronomy? Yeah. Could there always be more information about astronomy? Sure. What's really going to help is us pushing forward to Mars, putting people there, or just in space in general, would benefit even more. It'd get people more interested in the hobby, because that's all they'll see on the news is space, 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 space. Oh, I want to go look at the stars. I want to do this. I want to do that. But I mean, we've already started taking orders or putting in orders for 2022. That's how backed up we are.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, 2022, and it's the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, we're barely in March in 2021. That is incredible.
Yeah. So it'd be nice to know what the other dealers are doing, like OPT and all them, because I keep seeing your little radium back there, and I'm wondering when you're going to take it out and actually use it.
Well, we were planning on doing it 2 weeks ago. We at our family star party that we were going to do at Space Foundation. Then it snowed. Then I was going to take it out that weekend, but that was like the weekend of like my mom passed away and stuff. That's the reason we didn't do the show last week. So that just some personal stuff. But I'm actually going to be talking to one of my friends. We may take it out tomorrow night. It looks like it's going to be 60 during the day, so it won't be too cold at night, but cold enough at night that we'll have some good clear skies. And then I'm happy about that. But that's actually only one of the telescopes that I have. I'll do astrophotography with that one. But I also have one that's on back order. I'm trying to remember exactly what it stands for. What does RC stand for again? I don't want to say it wrong.
Richie Kretchen.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So that's going to be the one that I have. It's TPO 8-inch. So we're going to be streaming like we have so often with Will Young, Deep Sky Dude, which, by the way, I got to just tell him so many congratulations. Will has stepped up his game so much in the last, he was already one of the best space and mooncasters and planet streamers that was on social media. And over the last year, he's put out at least one new album. I think he's getting ready to drop another one. His music's fantastic. I put it in a lot of videos when I edit them. I use his music. His streams have been killer. I don't remember exactly how many concurrent viewers there were for because I had to stop because I was going to do my own that night for the Great Conjunction. But I think I saw it somewhere around 15,000 people were watching on Facebook alone, and that was before the sun went down. So I mean, it was nuts. And then once the sun went down for him, then I was like, okay, now I've got to go out and I've got to set mine up because it's still, it's still light outside. Well, not mine actually. My friend's Jeff Gagne, who does our family star parties at Space Foundation. So we went out, set all that stuff up. It was crazy the stuff he was doing, and now he's been going down and covering Starship. He got some great footage the other day when Elon was out front of the crashed Starship and they were going over it, what was happening with him and his team. He waved at everybody on his way out, and all of his pages have blown up. I think he went from starting at TikTok to having somewhere around 100,000 followers there. He was in when we first started working together, he was at 6,000 or 7,000 followers on Instagram. He's at 112. He surpassed me by 50,000 followers, and I've got 70-some thousand on Instagram. We don't have a small page there. He has been killing it. So Will, just want to give some love. Go check him out, Deep Sky Dude. He is down there right now filming everything they're doing to take the Starship pieces out from SN10, and then he's going to share that. He's been sharing those live streams with us, and he'll be down there for those. We're going to be reaching out to him to be an on-site consultant for a little while, correspondent for the live streams that we do. But just to show you all real quick some of what's going on down there, and I want to say thank you to James for this because he shared with me the updated the tweet, and this is from _Brendan_Lewis. And give me just 1 second here. I'm getting the newest one that you sent me.
Yeah, the newest one's from yesterday, so fresh off the Twitter sphere.
And it is fantastic. And again, I will put it down here in just a moment. It's just uploading. It takes it a second to make it an overlay. Well, maybe.
Yeah, during the Great Conjunction. Conjunction. I'll get my words out eventually. I actually got to use Abigail Bolenbach's SCT. She brought it into work at Explore Scientific. She wanted it cleaned and collimated. And she's never used it however long she's had it. And I was like, I'm going to use it for this.
Yeah.
And it worked. Oh, it was beautiful to use that thing. It was during the actual last star party that you were around with.
Oh, nice.
It was amazing to use that thing.
Let me see if this works. Hold on. Can you guys see that? Everybody can see that one? I was trying to upload it, but it downloaded it as a GIF, which I'm not exactly sure what GIFs are, but they have been very difficult to use here recently. So they are skipping 12, 13, and 14. But here is the varying levels of where things were at. So SN10 obviously went boom. You got to love that all the stuff that's down at the bottom, like there was snow, there was fire, there was something that finally went up, and then kaboom, it blew up. I love all those. Very much cracks me up. Then we go into SN11, that's in the high bay. SN15, you can see some of the things that are starting to change there. And then it goes into varying levels of where they're at. And then you get into so they're building, I think, even another one. I think I saw an aerial shot today. They're going to build another launch area. And then at the end here, you have BN1, the super heavy prototype, where it's at. You can see it's moving along. BN2, they're starting those pieces. As they add all those little things, man, it's just fascinating to see. Again, a shout out to, you can see in the lower right-hand corner here, at _ Brendan, BRENDAN _ Lewis, LEWIS, because both of those names can be shared, it's spelled like 15 different ways. Incredible work. Thank you for all you're doing to put that together. And you can see the key up in the upper left-hand corner. I love the static fire, and I love the boom as RUD, what we've been mentioning all night, the rapid unscheduled disassembly. There we go. So I think we went through here. I think, James, I still wanted to go to you on your thoughts of, Mars Society, man. Like, that's the whole goal. We've had, Zubrin's been talking about this for years. It's been his main thing, get us to Mars. The book has been popular. Obviously, Andy Weir utilized it as a lot of the basis of what he talked about in The Martian. For those people that don't know, Andy's very forthcoming with it. Elon was excited about it. I know it's something that he generally adapts. I'm sure everybody has their own ideas on things, but they are adopts. I should say, not adapts, adopts. Although adapts might actually be the better term there. He's going to adapt it to his own thing. But this has been the big thing, man. Like, both you and I work for some awesome Mars organizations. So let's talk a little bit about that. Are you excited about the moon stuff or possible asteroid stuff, or you're like Mars direct?
Well, yeah, I'm always going to be a Mars person first. I am also the VP of the Moon Society, kind of the little brother space advocacy organization, and we're planning on doing our Lunar Development Conference this July. Again, we did one last year as well. But no, it's very exciting what's happening with SpaceX. I'm glued to all those Starship tests. It was amazing what they did. I was actually on Clubhouse talking to some folks about space, and someone said, hey, Starship's flying right now, because there was a aborted attempt earlier that day. So everyone sort of tuned away from it for a while. And then, we were all on the Clubhouse talking about stuff, and we ended up listening to the whole flight together on Clubhouse. And then it landed, and they went right to me, well, James, what does this mean for SpaceX? And I talked about how they've been working their tails off, and this is an amazing milestone. It's the first landing. And then we got into some other stuff. I was actually talking about Mars Coin, the cryptocurrency project that I'm also helping out with. And then it blew up. And so that was fun.
Always a good time. Always a good time. Just went boom. Well, obviously, it's a big deal to everybody here. We're all excited in different ways. We're all connected in different ways. So we've got the last 10 minutes left. So what I want to do is go to each of you and say, give us like your words of wisdom if you want to, or just tell people what it is that you're up to. If there's something in particular you want to promote, James, obviously, I know you want to talk a little bit more about Mars VR and give people some more in-depth details. Go as in-depth as you want. We can go a little bit after 10 if it ends up happening that way. There's no show after hours. Get it? After hours. So that's a thing that a joke I didn't mean to make on purpose. So feel free to kind of dig into what it is that you're doing and what it is you love. So James, we'll go back to you first, and then we'll go to Tyler and Ken.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now we're running the Kickstarter, or the Indiegogo campaign. Sorry, we did a Kickstarter in 2018. Old habits die hard. We're very excited about that. We're 84%. We went up 3% just during this show. That's how good it's going. And so we're really hoping to raise some money to get this project done, get it out to the public. We're going to put it on the Steam video game platform, and we want to inspire people. We want you to experience what it's going to be like to be the first person to walk on Mars and learn the science and live the journey of that. And we are trying to get it out to schools, museums. We just had a video shoot today. We have several different videos that we've made for this project. The production quality is very high. I don't have time to play any of them for you right now, but go ahead and go to our site, marsvr.com. You can watch our trailer videos, our week 1 update. Our week 2 update will come out in a couple days. We've got some new tidbits in there, but we're asking for feedback from the community of what awards we can offer. We're asking for ideas. We're looking for volunteers to help us. It's a Unity application. It'll run on every major headset. We also will have a version for just PCs, because we want to get this out to as many people as possible. We want to have a good story for the schools that aren't going to have a VR headset. And by the way, you can also sponsor a school or museum. That's one of the reward levels. You can get this into your school or museum first.
Love that.
And so Yeah, so we really want to get this out to the community. It's a we're an all volunteer organization at the Mars Society. This is not a commercial project. This is an open source project for the space community, for the research community. We're going to use it to train the crews at the MDRS. We're going to use it to inspire young people. We're going to use it to teach STEM education, to teach VR, to teach science. We're going to have labs that you can do in K through 12 for different science topics like physics, chemistry, geology, biology. We want this to be a really big deal and get this in the hands of the public this year. And it looks great. We're doing really well on the Kickstarter and the crowdfunding campaign with Indiegogo, and it looks like it's going to happen. So shout out to my partner on this, Jeff Rayner from Mixed Reality here in Seattle. The Seattle space community is amazing. I'm part of the National Space Society chapter here in Seattle since 1999. And we've been going strong. We meet on Zoom every month. And the space community here in Seattle is very vibrant, and the VR community as well. So we're really doing some amazing work, I think, in bringing all this together into Mars VR. And I'm very excited about the project. And I wish all of you guys, if you could help support us, get the word out about it, pledge what you can, but talk to people about it. We'd love to get your ideas and your help with the project.
Fantastic. Thank you, James. Tyler, over to you, brother. A little bit about what you guys got coming up. Obviously, you're going to be doing more star parties, more conversations with folks. Let us know what's happening. You're muted.
Muted. Darn that button.
Unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself. But we are definitely going to be doing more star parties, or let me rephrase, virtual star parties. I can't be too safe anymore. And just keep getting the word out. I love what James is doing. I'm going to have to talk to Scott Roberts about that and see if we can't get him on our live shows so he can talk more about it. I mean, the more people know, the better. And that's the whole purpose of doing all of this, is just to keep spreading the word. Because I'm going to see if I can do it on my kid's little Quest VR set and get him off of Fortnite for once. Actually get him something that's entertaining. But yeah, I love actually just helping people just get out and to look up into space. It really doesn't take much, just a pair of binoculars just to get you started. Or you can just get what Ron's got behind him and just get a Radiant Raptor and be done. But it all starts just by looking up. That's all it does. I mean, that's how you get started, just by looking up at the stars and then just going from there. But I love that what everybody's doing here. I feel like a little bitty person compared to everybody else here, because I'm just a worker for Explore Scientific, and y'all are actually making a difference. I'm just helping support hobbies. That's all I'm doing. So I really loved being on the show today. I hope I get to come back and actually, provide a little bit more information than what I've been able to provide for you guys.
Tyler, you've done a great job. And again, a lot of the best science communicators that are out there that are doing amazing things, will talk down about themselves, or like lesser than. It's just something that it's a group of really humble people. They're just amazing. They're willing to help in generally any way. There's hardly any. Sometimes there's some groups that can get a little toxic, but you're going to have to search for those, really. Like, most of them are going to be so helpful in any single way possible. Astronomical societies, go find your local one, get involved. And that is a huge piece of it. Like, get out to a dark sky. If you have never seen the sky in dark skies, with your eyes adjusted to where you've really got the chance to see it. All the lights are out around you. You're only using like a mild red light to see things, and you have full night vision and get to see what the night sky really looks like. It is no wonder that our ancestors were astronomers and how they utilize that. Like, you just can't look up and not. If you look up at that and don't feel in complete awe, that feeling of wonderment, I don't know how to say anything else. Like, if you haven't seen it, you've got to see it. And I love those. I would love to see a setup like that. And I've kind of talked to Dustin about it before. I think it'd be awesome to get like a group of, say, more famous people and take them out to the middle of the desert where he's got all those setups. Each one of them's got like a bottle of scotch in it in a bed, and you can sleep in where they have these. And you can see that on this channel, OPT Telescopes. If you're not over there, please go to /Clear Skies Network on Twitch. You can see what are remote telescopes? And again, there's scotch and there's food and there's all kinds of stuff and loaded refrigerators and beds and where people sleep in them. But when nobody's there, he can retract the roof and move those scopes wherever he wants to, and people can do remote astrophotography with them. But to take a big group of like famous people out there that have never seen the night sky before, like take them out during the day and then go have a conversation in a couple of those different rooms and then have them all come out, like kind of sit in a relatively dark room and then just film their reactions and see how they react to it over that time, because there's plenty of people that have never seen that before. It doesn't matter how much money they're worth. It's a game changer. So astronomy is a huge piece of that. That's what gets people dreaming on the levels that we've heard with what becomes the Mars Society, what becomes the National Space Society, what becomes, the Explore Mars and Humans to Mars Summit, what becomes the Space Foundation, what becomes astronauts, what becomes astrophysicists, what becomes Neil deGrasse Tyson, and all these amazing space and science communicators that are out there. All starts there, man. So definitely what you're doing is a huge piece of that. And a man that's on TV. I see the Dallas TV stuff all the time. He's always killing it. One of our best communicators out there, Ken. Let's go to you last. Let everybody know what it is you're up to, where people can find you on social media, and anything you all might have coming up. I believe that you do monthly Zoom stuff too. I'm not entirely sure, so punch me later if I'm wrong.
No, you're right, and I want to tell Tyler, Guy, you're too hard on yourself. I mean, I'm a volunteer. Space has been my passion literally since I was 8 years old. I'm not getting paid to talk about space. I do it because I love it. So if you're encouraging people to love astronomy, then that's great. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So, as far as I'm concerned, we're all part of the space fam, whether it's astronomy, whether your thing is the moon, whether it's Mars, orbiting space settlements, which is a term that's, really unfamiliar to most people. We're all part of the same space family. So I want to say that first. Also, really quick, because I know the time is kind of limited. There was a comment that I think was directed to me.
If you want to go over, you're more than welcome to, Ken. We don't have anything else that's on after this show. If we go a few minutes over, it's not going to immediately stop you. So please feel free to finish your thought, whatever you want to do.
Excellent, thanks. Janine had a comment earlier about when I was talking about the super heavy Starship, it may or may not have been referring to me, but we were all talking about super heavy Starship, and she mentioned additive manufacturing. Well, the vehicles, super heavy and Starship, with super heavy being the lower stage, Starship being the upper stage, those are a specific alloy of stainless steel. Well, stainless steel is an alloy anyway, but it's a specific type of stainless steel. And I believe they're moving over eventually to another type of stainless steel. So just because of the material that they're using, that metal that they're using, I don't think there's any intentions to do additive manufacturing. Not saying it couldn't be done, but that's, just outside of my expertise. I'm just not familiar with stainless being done by additive manufacturing. I think it's easy enough to do the old-fashioned way, at least here on Earth. So there's that I wanted to address. Also, National Space Society. I was glad to hear, glad and impressed to hear that James, I think, said he was a member of National Space Society also, in addition to these other organizations. So you're a really busy guy.
In his area, even the one in Seattle, it's his chapter.
Right. And so, David Stewart. I'm not sure if he's the president there or not, but he's definitely in the Seattle area, and he was the vice president of chapters. So tell David Stewart I said hello. And,
I sure will. I've known David for 20 years. He's a great guy.
Okay, you've known him longer than I have. So I've only known him about 10. So he is a great guy. So National Space Society, for people interested in what we've been talking about, whether it's Mars, of course, whether it's the moon, whether it's the orbiting space settlements, and something we didn't discuss, eventually at some point, who knows how many years, decades, centuries, maybe even down the road, at some point, there will be people from the planet Earth traveling to a planet around another star. whether it's the nearest star system to us, the Alpha Centauri system, and Proxima Centauri being the red dwarf within that system. It may or may not be that particular destination, but it could be a planet in that system. Time will tell. So that's sort of the ultimate destination of the National Space Society, for humanity to not just be a multi-planet species. If we have when we have a settlement on Mars, when we have the orbiting space settlements, when we have the settlement on the moon, but also eventually outside of our solar system. And the purpose of that is just to, as close as we can get to ensuring the survival of the human race. That is the ultimate goal. I mean, the more humanity is spread out, if there's some planet-wide catastrophic event, that were to happen on any one of those destinations, the idea is humanity would still survive elsewhere. So, but before we get to that, again, we've got these closer destinations. And who would have thought we'd be talking about Mars as being a closer destination? But, that's just all part of the, I guess, the umbrella of the National Space Society. So, sure. And we've talked about chapters. There's my chapter in North Texas, the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex and beyond. James mentioned the Seattle chapter. Again, dozens of chapters across the U.S. We've got a viewer who's on from Australia, and I think I'm sure there's more than one chapter in Australia. There's a few in Europe. There's some in India, Japan, China, South Africa. I mean, the organization is growing. It's expanding. The number of chapters. Even though what we have, we're limited to virtual monthly meetings on the second Sunday of every month. If anyone is interested, they're welcome to contact me. Ron, you mentioned social media. You can contact me directly on Facebook. I'm Ken Ruffin. There's the chapter itself. There's the National Space Society of North Texas. I have a Facebook page. The chapter has a Facebook page and a Twitter page and Insta page. So for the chapter, just not all for me. So I've got gray hair. So, what do you expect? So, you can learn so much. If you're active, especially, you can learn so much about space. The people that you meet. And I'm sure this is also the case for other space organizations as well. You guys have already mentioned, other conferences, whether it's Mars Society, whether it's the Space Symposium. So, I mean, with any and all of these organizations, you have a chance to, at some point, once again, face to face, I'm being optimistic, looking ahead, we'll have a chance to, meet like-minded individuals, passionate about the same thing, of all ages, from all backgrounds, from all parts of the world. And, I think it's a beautiful and special thing. And, people who are truly interested, truly passionate, consider joining, one or more of these organizations represented here. And, specifically, I'll do a shameless plug, not just for my North Texas chapter, where since we're virtual, really you can join from anywhere in the world. In 2023, which is 2 years from now, the annual conference you've heard us talking about, the International Space Development Conference, will actually be here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And we hope it'll be in person. So maybe it'll be virtual also. And I'm pretty sure it will be, but there will be an in-person component. So for once, I won't have to travel. I've had to travel for all the previous ISDCs before, the pandemic started. So looking forward to hosting the Space Fam from across the country and around the world. If you see me, say hello. Make sure you see me if you're on this call, and if you come to the conference 2 years from now, make sure you see me and say hello.
stated, Ken, and of course, everybody do go check that out. Not only do you have that, but then a year later is the next the next Great American Eclipse, and it's going to be coming through, I believe, like Austin and Dallas and that whole area. So I've already got some friends there. I'm like, I'm going to be shipping down my telescope like a week beforehand. Then I'll be flying down because that thing weighs 100 friggin' pounds, almost 100 pounds. Yeah, it's 85 pounds, Tyler. It's 85 pounds. It's 15 pounds off. All right, I'm 285 and then I'm 300. Guess what? If I'm at 285, I'm almost 300 pounds, aren't I? I'm pretty close. So I'm saying
I'm the same height. I'm same weight, buddy. Same weight.
Yeah, no, right? Well, I'm not
Same weight.
white there. I'm less than that now because of everything. I'm still used to being heavier because I was like close to 300 and then I lost 30 pounds with all the craziness that's been going on.
Yeah.
But that behind me actually is only at 85 pounds right now because it's only got the Raptor on it. Now, once I put that 8-inch on it, we're going to be closer to 100 pounds. So I'm going to be shipping that just to get that out of the way. So someone's going to have to put it in their backyard and I'll ship it home. I don't want to put that in bags.
You could just come to Explore Scientific and we'll take care of you.
Well, if I come to Explore Scientific, you guys aren't going to have the actual it will fly straight over Arkansas. What, does it really?
Yeah.
Do you guys get full totality?
I'd have to double check to make sure, but we're at least higher 90s. Yeah.
Really? Well, I haven't seen totality yet, so I want to see totality because I haven't yet. Yeah.
Go ahead, Ken.
I was just going to say just south of Dallas, not downtown. Now if you look at Dallas on the map, but just a few miles south of Dallas is the path of totality. So like these southern Dallas suburbs. So for me, it's like a half-hour drive.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. And there's going to be so many people out there. I'm sure that all that area is already rented. If it's not, it will be. But no, I would be interested to see exactly. I need to look at exactly where it's going to be and go ahead and book my plans now because I will be there. I want to do photography. I want to stream it if I can. There's so much I want to be able to do by the time that happens. So I think that we actually have I know that we have one coming up that's going to be like North America here in a few months. And then it is like a crescent. It's a crescent eclipse, I think, here. And then it will be the Ring of Fire in Canada. And I don't know exactly where those are going to be, but I was talking to my buddy I was mentioning Jeff earlier. I would really like to have see if we can do a road trip and do a virtual star party and stream that with the correct filters, of course. Don't be like that one person who heard that there was a solar eclipse and walked outside and looked straight up at it. I'm not saying any names because we don't have to talk about them anymore, but you know what I'm talking about. Don't look at the sun. It will burn your eyes out. Okay, anyway. But so that totally happened.
And also pro tip there, I went to the one that went through Oregon. We went and camped down there.
Nice.
Don't get on the road right after the eclipse happens. Camp out that night or stay an extra night because the roads will be nuts.
Yeah, it's madness. It went through Wyoming, and Wyoming is not a place where you really have to deal with all the crazy. But from what I understand, it wasn't just standstill for a little bit. It was, like James said, it was a whole. The sun was up when they left. The sun was down, and they were still in traffic, and they were still in Wyoming. That's how bad that it can get in those areas, especially areas where it's a lot of open area that's perfect for that kind of thing. Dallas will be busy, but there's so much happening in Dallas. There's not like a whole lot. If you've never been to Dallas or you've never been to the Metroplex like Ken was talking about, you can be on one side of the Metroplex and you can drive for an hour and a half and you are still not out of the other side of it whenever you're in Fort Worth. And I'm talking about not even really having any sort of traffic. It can be 2:00 in the morning. And by the way, you can get traffic in Dallas and Fort Worth at 2:00 in the morning for no reason. There's no rhyme or reason. You can drive right into it at any time of day. Sorry about that. James, go ahead.
No. I mean, I'm excited about the next eclipse too because it's going to go through Cleveland, Ohio, where I grew up. So I'm going to go camp out at the farm that my grandfather used to have, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
There are so many places. So if this is the first you're hearing of it, I know that it sounds like that's really far away. It is 2021. Many of these places are being booked right now and will continue to be booked. By the end of the year, in 2022, it will probably be difficult for you to find something. So start looking now. You have to plan ahead for these things. It's going to be the next one, and it's going over so much of the U.S. It's arcing like through Texas and then up through the U.S. So there's going to be so many places you're going to be able to see it. I can't wait for it myself. I'm already planning. I don't know where I'll be. I'm hoping to still be at the places I am, just, making some more money and doing some more cool things. But if I'm not, then however it is, I will be at one of these places. So I can't wait to see everybody there. I want to thank everyone for being on the show tonight. James, Tyler, Ken, you've been amazing. To the Cosmic Perspective team, we can't wait to have you on a future episode. If you have yet to see Cosmic Perspective's video, go to their YouTube channel, check it out. It's very easy to find them. Put in Cosmic Perspective Starship. It is the top video right now. If it's not the top video, it's one of the top videos because Elon tweeted it yesterday. So it's got like 1 million views in the last 24 hours, and it's incredible. It's slow motion. It's the whole shebang. It's no pun intended. It's from beginning to end. It's slow motion 4K when it goes boom, boom. And that's just awesome. It's so beautiful. They're such incredible filmmakers. So can't wait to have them on. Asteroid Hunters, who are in the comments, they're going to be joining us too. They're doing amazing stuff. That'll be next week. Working on the other guests now. Can't wait to have you all on. And everybody stay tuned. There's so much coming up in space, period. Keep looking up. Keep following the rocket launches, and we'll see you all on the next show. Thank you so much, everybody.
See you on Mars.